Harold Edward Wilson was born on December 5, 1921, in Birmingham, Alabama, into a working-class family shaped by service and sacrifice. His father, a World War I veteran and skilled machinist, set the example that would guide Harold's life. Wilson attended Central Park Elementary and Ensley High School, growing up in the tight-knit neighborhoods of Birmingham before entering the workforce. Like many young men of his generation, he found employment in Alabama's steel industry, working for the Tennessee Coal, Iron, and Railroad Company. But the world was changing, and so was Harold Wilson's path. In early 1942, driven by duty and the legacy of his father's service, he enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserve, a decision that would define the course of his life and lead him onto the battlefields where his courage would become legend. During World War II, Wilson served overseas for 27 months, including a critical tour on Midway Island, one of the most strategically important outposts in the Pacific. His time there placed him on the front line of a key defensive stronghold that helped shape the outcome of the war. He was honorably discharged on October 20, 1945, with the rank of sergeant. 2 years later, Wilson returned to service, re-entering the organized Marine Corps Reserve with the Birmingham Unit. When the Korean War erupted, he was recalled to active duty in August 1950 and assigned to Company G, 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, 1st Marine Division. He deployed to Korea in November, arriving in time for the landing at Wonsan, a key operation aimed at securing the eastern coast for United Nations forces. Soon after, Wilson and his unit were thrust into the brutal fighting at the Chosin Reservoir, where Marines battled not only overwhelming Chinese forces but also sub-zero temperatures that froze weapons, food, and flesh alike. Surviving Chosin's unforgiving terrain and relentless assaults, Wilson went on to fight in the First United Nations counteroffensive, helping push enemy forces southward during one of the most pivotal phases of the war. On the night of April 23–24, 1951, during the Battle of Hwacheon, Technical Sergeant Harold E. Wilson displayed extraordinary gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. Serving as platoon sergeant of a rifle platoon attached to Company G, 3rd Battalion, 1st Marines, 1st Marine Division, reinforced, he faced one of the most ferocious enemy assaults of the Korean War. As enemy forces launched a massive nighttime attack from the high ground, the company outpost was overrun and Wilson's platoon, fighting from hastily dug foxholes, absorbed the full force of a devastating barrage of mortar, machine gun, grenade, and small arms fire. In the chaos, Wilson repeatedly exposed himself to intense fire, pulling survivors back into the line and directing the treatment of the wounded. Struck twice, once in the right arm and again in the left leg, he refused medical aid and continued moving among his men, shouting encouragement and steadying the defense. When the attack intensified, he suffered additional wounds to the head and shoulder, yet again insisted on remaining with his platoon. Unable to use either arm to fire a weapon, he resupplied his Marines with rifles and ammunition taken from the wounded, ensuring the line held under overwhelming pressure. Several times he personally reported to the company commander, requesting reinforcements as casualties mounted. After placing the newly arrived Marines in critical positions, he directed their fire until a mortar blast threw him from his feet. Dazed, concussed, and losing blood, he still refused evacuation. Crawling from foxhole to direct fire, distribute ammunition, render first aid, and inspire his men to stand fast. Through his leadership and unwavering courage in the face of almost certain death, Wilson rallied his platoon again and again, enabling them to repel repeated assaults and hold a position whose loss would have jeopardized the entire defensive line at Hwacheon. At dawn, after the final attack had been beaten back, he personally accounted for every Marine in his platoon before walking, unaided, half a mile to the aid station to finally accept treatment. His heroism, initiative, and steadfast leadership under overwhelming odds were decisive in the success of his company's mission and reflect the highest credit upon Technical Sergeant Wilson and the United States Marine Corps. On April 11, 1952, Harold E. Wilson was presented the Medal of Honor at the White House, where President Harry S. Truman personally bestowed the nation's highest award for valor in recognition of Wilson's extraordinary heroism in Korea. In August 1952, Harold E. Wilson was commissioned as a warrant officer, marking the beginning of the next chapter in a distinguished Marine Corps career. He continued to serve with the same dedication and resolve that had defined him in Korea, later deploying once more. this time to Vietnam, where he brought his hard-earned combat experience to a new generation of Marines. Over the course of 3 decades in uniform, Wilson earned numerous commendations, including the Bronze Star and 5 Purple Hearts, each a testament to the dangers he faced and the sacrifices he endured. After a lifetime of service that spanned World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, he retired from the Marine Corps in 1972, leaving behind a legacy of courage, leadership, and unwavering devotion to duty. Harold E. Wilson passed away on March 29, 1998, in Lexington, South Carolina. He was laid to rest at Woodridge Memorial Park in Lexington, where he rests among fellow veterans and loved ones, a final place of honor for a Marine whose courage spanned 3 wars.